Madison Pierce stepped onto the luxury yacht with her entourage trailing behind, her blonde hair perfectly styled, designer sunglasses reflecting the Caribbean sun. She was America's biggest pop star, and she made sure everyone knew it. Captain James Carter, a distinguished man in his early 40s, stood at attention on the deck in his crisp white uniform, ready to welcome the charter guests aboard his vessel. "You there?" Madison called out without looking directly at him. "My bags need to go to the master suite, and make sure the champagne is properly chilled this time." The last yacht crew was incompetent. James nodded professionally. "Welcome aboard, Miss Pierce. I'm Captain Carter, and I'll be—" "I don't need your life story," she interrupted, waving her hand dismissively. "Just do your job and stay out of my way. I'm here to relax, not socialize with the help." What Madison didn't know was that the captain she just dismissed had navigated ships through some of the most dangerous waters in the world, held advanced degrees in marine engineering and oceanography, and had once saved an entire cruise ship from capsizing. Today, her arrogance would lead to a crisis that only he could solve. Before we dive into this story, don't forget to subscribe and like for more amazing stories like this one. You won't believe what happens next. For the next 3 days, Madison treated James like he was invisible. She snapped orders at him, complained about everything from the water temperature to the angle of the sun, and made it clear that she considered him nothing more than a glorified servant. Her friends followed her lead, treating the crew with the same dismissive contempt. "Captain," she called out on the afternoon of day 3, "this route is boring. I want to go somewhere more exciting. What about that area?" She pointed vaguely at the charts James was reviewing. James looked up from the navigation table. "Ms. Pierce, that area is currently under a tropical storm warning. We need to maintain our current course to avoid—" "I didn't ask for a weather report," Madison snapped. "I'm paying $50,000 for this charter. Take me where I want to go." "With all due respect, ma'am, I'm responsible for the safety of everyone on this vessel. The storm system is unpredictable, and—" "Are you refusing to do what I'm paying you for?" Madison's voice rose. "Maybe I should call the charter company and tell them their captain doesn't follow instructions." The tension was building toward a dangerous confrontation. James took a deep breath, maintaining his professional composure despite her rudeness. "Miss Pierce, I've been navigating these waters for 20 years. I have certifications from the Coast Guard, advanced training in emergency response, and I've successfully navigated through 3 hurricanes. When I tell you something is unsafe, it's not a suggestion, it's my professional assessment." Madison laughed mockingly. 20 years driving boats? How impressive. I've sold 50 million albums. I think I know what I want better than you know how to do your job." Her friends giggled at this, and James felt the familiar sting of being judged solely by his position rather than his expertise. But he had dealt with difficult clients before. He would maintain course, ensure everyone's safety, and collect his payment at the end of the charter. What he didn't anticipate was Madison secretly bribing one of the junior crew members to alter the yacht's course while James was off watch. 2 hours later, James was reviewing weather updates in the bridge when he noticed something wrong. The GPS coordinates didn't match their planned route. They were heading directly toward the storm system he had warned against. "Who changed our heading?" James demanded, immediately taking the helm. Madison appeared at the bridge door, smiling smugly. "I told you I wanted a more exciting route. Since you wouldn't listen, I found someone who would." The crisis was about to begin. James checked the radar. The storm had intensified faster than predicted and was now directly in their path. Waves were already building to dangerous heights, and the wind was picking up rapidly. "We need to turn around immediately," James said, his voice urgent but controlled. "This storm is now Category 2 and strengthening. We have maybe 30 minutes before conditions become critical." "Oh, please," Madison rolled her eyes. "It's just some rain. Don't be so dramatic." At that moment, a massive wave hit the yacht broadside, sending everyone stumbling. Madison grabbed the wall to steady herself, her smugness instantly replaced by fear. "That was a 12-foot wave," James said calmly, already making course corrections. "In 20 minutes, they'll be 20 feet. In an hour, They could be 30. Everyone needs to get below deck and secure themselves now. Another wave hit. This one larger. Madison's friend screamed as water crashed over the bow. The yacht tilted at a sharp angle before righting itself. "Do something!" Madison shouted at James, all pretense of superiority gone. "I am doing something," James replied, his hands moving expertly across the controls. "I'm trying to get us out of this mess you created. Now get below deck before you get washed overboard." The storm was intensifying by the minute. James activated the emergency protocols, sending the crew to secure all loose items and prepare for heavy weather. The junior crew member who had changed course was pale with fear, realizing the magnitude of what he'd done. "Captain, I'm sorry, I didn't think." Later, James cut him off. "Right now, secure the guests below and make sure all watertight doors are sealed." Madison refused to go below. "I need to make sure you're actually doing something." "What I'm doing," James said, fighting the wheel as another wave crashed over them, "is calculating our best route out of this storm, monitoring multiple weather systems, coordinating with Coast Guard for our position, and keeping this vessel from capsizing. If you want to help, go below and let me do my job." But Madison's fear had made her irrational. "This is your fault. You're the captain. You should have prevented this." James turned to look at her, water streaming down his face from the rain now pounding the bridge. "I tried to prevent this. You bribed my crew to override my orders because you thought you knew better. Now $150,000 doesn't seem like such a powerful argument against a hurricane, does it?" The yacht was now in serious danger. A massive wave, easily 25 feet high, rose ahead of them. James angled the bow to meet it head-on, the only way to avoid being rolled. The yacht climbed the wall of water, seemed to hang suspended for a moment, then crashed down the other side. Madison was thrown to the floor. When she looked up, she saw James still at the helm, his hands steady, his focus absolute. For the first time, she saw him not as the help, but as the only thing standing between her and disaster. "The engine's overheating," called out the first mate through the intercom. "We're losing power." James's jaw tightened. "Switch to auxiliary and start the backup generator." "Already done, Captain. But we can't maintain current speed much longer." James was calculating rapidly, accounting for wind speed, current direction, wave patterns, and their diminishing power. He made a decision. "We're going to have to run with the storm rather than fight it," he announced. "It'll take us off course, but it's our only option with reduced power." Madison watched in terrified fascination as James orchestrated a complex series of maneuvers, timing each turn perfectly with the wave patterns, using the storm's power rather than fighting against it. His years of experience were evident in every decision, every correction, every command. What happened next would change everything. For 3 hours, James navigated through conditions that would have destroyed most vessels. He didn't eat, didn't rest, didn't take his hands off the controls. His crew worked in perfect synchronization with his commands, their trust in him absolute. Madison, still on the bridge despite his orders, watched him work. She saw the calculations he made in seconds, the way he anticipated wave patterns, how he used every bit of the yacht's capabilities to keep them safe. This wasn't driving a boat. This was masterful seamanship in its highest form. "Captain," the first mate called, "the storm is starting to weaken. We're through the worst of it." James didn't relax. "Maintain current heading. I want us completely clear before we assess damage." Another hour passed before James finally eased back on the controls. The storm was behind them. The seas were calming, and miraculously, everyone was safe. He turned to Madison, his face exhausted but his voice still professional. "You can go below now, Miss Pierce. We're out of danger." Madison didn't move. "I need to say something." James waited. "I was wrong," she said quietly. "About everything. You tried to warn me, and I wouldn't listen because I thought that being famous and wealthy meant I knew better than everyone else." The transformation was beginning. James nodded slowly. "You made a dangerous decision based on arrogance. It almost killed everyone on this yacht. But I've seen it before. People who think money or fame makes them invincible. The ocean doesn't care about your album sales, Miss Pierce. It only cares about physics and weather patterns. You saved our lives, Madison said. If you hadn't known exactly what to do, if you had listened to me in the first place, we wouldn't have been in this situation, James replied. I told you I had 20 years of experience. I told you I'd navigated hurricanes, but you didn't hear experienced professional. You heard servant who should obey. Madison flinched at the truth in his words. Can I ask you something? Why do you do this job if people treat you the way I treated you? James looked out at the now calm sea. Because I love the ocean. I love navigation. I have degrees in marine engineering and oceanography from MIT. I've published papers on storm pattern prediction. I've served as an advisor to the Coast Guard on emergency maritime protocols. This isn't just a job to me, it's my life's work. Madison's eyes widened. MIT. Published papers? Then why? Why am I captaining a charter yacht? James smiled without humor. Because I choose to be. I spent years in academic research and government consulting. This allows me to actually be on the water, to practice my craft, to keep my skills sharp. I don't do this because it's the only job I could get. I do it because it's the job I want. The truth was even more humbling than Madison expected. 3 years ago, James continued, I was the lead consultant when a cruise ship started taking on water off the coast of Alaska. The captain had ignored warning signs, and they were in danger of capsizing with 2,000 passengers aboard. I coordinated the rescue operation, designed the emergency ballast system that kept them afloat, and helped navigate them to safety. The Coast Guard gave me their highest civilian honor. He turned to face Madison directly. So when I tell you something is unsafe, when I give you professional advice, it comes from someone who has literally saved thousands of lives. But you saw a yacht captain and assumed I was less than you. Madison felt tears starting. I'm so sorry. I've been horrible. To you, to your crew, to everyone. Yes, you have. James agreed. But you're not the first difficult client I've had, and you won't be the last. The question is whether you learn from this. Over the next 2 days, as they made their way to port for repairs, Madison was a different person. She learned the names of every crew member. She asked James about navigation, and listened when he explained how different systems worked. She even helped the crew with cleanup after the storm. The final revelation came on their last evening. Madison found James on the bridge as the sun was setting. Captain Carter, I wanted to thank you again, and to apologize. Properly this time. I've been thinking about what you said about me not seeing you as a professional. James nodded. And I do it to everyone, Madison admitted. Anyone who works for me, I treat them like they're beneath me. I tell myself it's because I'm successful, and they're not. But really, I think I'm terrified that if I see them as equals, they'll see how insecure I actually am. That's surprisingly insightful, James said. You risked your life to save mine after I treated you terribly, Madison continued. You had every right to tell me off, to humiliate me in front of everyone, but you stayed professional. Why? James considered this. Because my job isn't to teach you lessons or punish you for being rude. My job is to keep you safe. Personal feelings don't enter into it. Well, they should have, Madison said. I deserve to be called out for my behavior. You're calling yourself out right now, James pointed out. That's more valuable than anything I could say. The ending brought unexpected change. When they reached port, Madison didn't just pay the charter fee. She added a $100,000 tip for the crew and a formal letter of apology. But more than that, she used her platform to share the story. Her Instagram post about the brilliant captain who saved my life and taught me about respect went viral. She didn't make herself the hero. She made James the hero, and herself the cautionary tale about arrogance. 3 months later, James received an unexpected call. Madison wanted to charter the yacht again, but this time she had a different request. She wanted to bring a documentary crew to film James's work and create awareness about maritime safety and the expertise required for ocean navigation. I want people to understand that the people they dismiss every day might be more qualified, more educated, and more expert than they could imagine, Madison explained. I want to use my platform for something that actually matters. The documentary, The Captain's Chair, became a surprise hit, highlighting not just James but also other maritime professionals whose expertise was often overlooked. It sparked conversations about how society values different types of work and the assumptions people make based on job titles. The lesson extended far beyond one yacht. James Carter continued doing what he loved, navigating the seas and keeping people safe. But Madison's very public acknowledgement of her behavior and his expertise had changed how charter guests approached the crew. Respect replaced entitlement. Questions replaced demands. Madison Pierce, meanwhile, found that treating people with respect rather than contempt didn't diminish her success. It enhanced it. Her next album, inspired by the experience, was her most personal and successful yet. Years later, she would point to that storm as the moment that changed her life. Not because it nearly killed her, but because it forced her to see someone she had dismissed as invisible and recognize true expertise, courage, and professionalism. The captain she had never bothered to see had saved her life. And in doing so, he had taught her to actually see the people around her. That lesson proved more valuable than any chart-topping hit. The end of one voyage, the beginning of real wisdom.